Okay, we are going to go through what I'm suggesting for off-season changes to the robot to prepare for off-season competition to try to fix some of the problems that we have. Uh, so here we go. There's a couple core issues that I think causes us to not perform to the level that we want. They are pretty much all related to jamming of the balls inside the hopper. Uh, so I'm going to look at what those are. I've watched a lot of video of our robot performing, and this is kind of what I've come up with as what the problems are and some potential solutions to those. All right, so looking at it, the robot is actually pretty capable when it does perform well. So here is a clip from a video. Uh, this is in 1/4 speed, and this is from Provincials qualifying match number 23. In this clip, I think this is our best example of shooting from the year in competition. You'll see here in a 5-second span here, we actually shoot 23 balls in 5 seconds. And this is basically because we're full and we don't jam for a full 5 seconds. So this is one of our best little bursts of the year, I think, that I could find. If we are able to do this for an entire match, this is basically elite level performance for a robot coming out of our robot from last year. So this is from Provincials. We are right over here. This stream right here is us. So watch this. This is our stuff coming out here. I counted 23 that come out of here between 106 and 101. And then we move on and go pick up some more balls over here. But that was a pretty good stream that come out there. So 23 I counted all together. If we watch that again. So they're coming out there. So that's about 4 balls per second, or a little over, somewhere between 4 and 5 balls per second. So that is pretty good. If we can do that for a whole match, we are an elite level robot. So how do we get there? How do we prevent that jamming from happening and just are able to perform like that for an entire match? So here's what I think we need to do. So our problems. Number one, we jam at coming out of the spindexer. So basically going from the spindexer into, I forget what we call it, the little ramp that goes up. So we have a little plate right now that's trying to prevent this, that prevents the balls inside the spindexer here. They roll around this way. But what happens is we get a ball that gets up here and these push like this, and we get one that gets jammed in here. Now this is supposed to prevent that from happening, but what will happen is it just gets jammed in here. And then our solution for this is to actually run the spindexer backwards and have this fall in. But it doesn't work real well, or we don't know what happens, and then we're too slow at clearing it that way. So that is the problem. So how do we prevent this from happening? We've tried lots of modification to this plate to try to fix it. We've had improved success, but nothing fixes it completely. So here is what I am going to suggest, and I've seen other examples of teams of spindexers or different mechanisms do this. Basically putting some spinning wheels right here. So some kind of rejector wheels here. And what this should be able to do, if these wheels are just above the pass height of these balls here, these ones can freely pass underneath here, but anything above there is going to hit this wheel and it's going to get spun back out of the way and kind of shot up out of the way, or pushed back over top of these, and prevents it from jamming. So kind of like that. So if that hits that wheel, it gets shot up like that, or just pushed back over the top. Okay, so make a little wall of wheels here that prevents that from happening. That clears that out. Also provides some agitation up here as well. If there's a big pile of them up here, it'll help that agitate a little bit. And I will have to say that this is probably something that Seth had suggested earlier in the year, was putting some rollers there, and we didn't do it. Once again, Seth comes up with an idea that a couple months later, I say, yeah, that was a good idea. We probably should have done that. But there we go. So I think this could be pretty easy to implement if we remove the agitator up here and just rebuild it into a configuration like this and stick it down in this area down here. I think that could work with basically that same hardware. So these 3 wheels, this motor, these shafts, configure it like this, put a belt on it, and place it where it needs to go down here. I think we could make that work pretty well. Should also add a little bit of agitation up here as well, kind of like this agitator did. So that is change number 1. The second problem that we have, and I'll show it here, is we try to agitate the balls by raising the intake, and you'll see that we struggle to raise the intake. It just won't go a lot of the times. And I think the problem here is that you'll see we have this roof on top of the extending hopper here. And I think what's actually happening is we're just pressing these balls, because there's so many balls in here, we're just pressing them into this roof, and there's nowhere for them to go. So when we try to lift, I'm going to go to the laser pointer here. When we try to lift this agitator or the intake up, we're just pressing these balls into the roof here. And the whole thing can't move because there's no place for the balls to go. I think that is what actually happens here. So you can see that happening here. Eventually we get some space and then it can move freely. So I don't think it's a lack of power by the intake. I don't think it's a weight of the balls. I think that there's nowhere for them to move. That's our problem here. So, solution to that, and as you can see there, here's another example of the robot actually fires pretty fast when it's being fed constantly. We can run a lot of balls through there in a hurry if we're feeding it. So we're trying to raise this up. Got a bunch of balls packed in here, and we're just pressing them into the roof. So there's nowhere to go in here. How do we get out of this problem? We basically take this roof off. Okay, now that roof is in there to provide some rigidity to keep the hopper square, and also to keep the balls from flying out. So I think first thing here is to replace this piece, this Lexan piece, with a U-shaped piece that will still give us the squareness without blocking the ball path. And then to keep the balls from flying out, another thing I'm going to suggest in a minute here is putting a net over top of this as well. But I think that is good. I don't think we just want to cut this because people have signed this piece here. So I think we want to take this off and save it and make a new piece to go on here so we don't lose all these signatures. But I think that's the step here. The next thing, the next problem we have is the bridging problem. So this is where we get a bunch of balls built up here. We clear out the ones underneath and we just have this void underneath and things don't fall. You'll see this go on here.
Run the agitator. It's not running.
So we shoot ones from underneath, and now there's this empty space underneath here, but things just won't fall. So we got an empty gap underneath here in the Spindexer. This stuff is not falling in. Now, our best thing we have for agitation is the movement of the intake. So I think if we fix this roof problem, we can move the intake freely, and I hope that clears up that problem. Plus, if we have the spinning wheels on this guy over here, maybe that helps as well. Uh, and then we can look at some other solutions over here as well if the raising of the intake does not fix this. I think the raising of the intake should fix most of our bridging problems. But again, once we clear that, things run out
Is
pretty
the agitator jammed?
smoothly once that does start to go. And you can see there, that's that.
Agitator jammed?
Whoops. Where is it here?
Jammed?
Is it coming up here? We'll get that jam right there, that jam problem right there. That's what we're hoping those little spinning rollers will fix as well. All right, so that's that one. This one here, increasing the overall capacity. We'd like to be able to carry more because if we can shoot them out effectively and we can prevent the bridging and jamming, let's carry more and we can score more that way. We want to be able to overstuff that hopper. The way we do that, put the net back on top here so we can pop that net up and we can overstuff them. That also keeps them from flying out. We were getting some where they'd fly into the up into the shooter, coming out over the top and stuff like that. If we're reducing that roof back here, we want to be able to still keep them in. So a nice flexible net that can puff up like that would be nice. This means we probably can't go underneath the trench if we're puffed up like that, but our typical gameplay has been when we return with a full load and come back to shoot, we were coming back over the bump all the time anyway. If we did need to come under the trench, we could always shoot some out to drop that down, pass them back, and then go under the trench if we did need to carry, or we just modify our gameplay to carry less if we're being defended and we need to go under the trench all the time. It gives us the option to do either, but I don't think not being able to go under the trench with a full load is a problem. I think we should be fine with that. So I think the net is a good idea, and we have that ready to go now. And then making better driving decisions in general. Now, key to making good driving decisions is actually having a robot that works well and does what you think it's going to do. That lets you make a lot better decisions if the robot's working consistently and not jamming and things like that. But our scoring cycle, if we're running like this, when we get our 25-second scoring cycle, the first 12 seconds, we should be able to shoot out 48 balls or a full load at 4 balls per second in 12 seconds. If we spend another 8 seconds going back and collecting more, and then the final 5 seconds shooting those ones out, maybe that's another 20, that should kind of be the flow of our 25 seconds. And we should be able to do that pretty consistently. So come back with a full load, empty it out, do a collect, and then empty out again. This is not going to be a full collect, but we're going to collect as many as we can in 8 seconds, leaving enough time to actually shoot them. That collection cycle needs to be super fast when we do it, and this should basically be what teams' autos look like. So just, if we're shooting from here, we're just doing a quick under the trench, little loop around here. We know that this is where everything gathers. Loop around, quick turn, come back over the bump, turn around and shoot. And we have to execute that in under 8 seconds to make it effective. But we should be able to gather at least 20 or so in that little loop. You do that. Another loop that is a pretty effective, go from here, go underneath the tower and back out. We know that there's always stuff collected under here, and along this back wall we can easily get 20 there without exiting the zone as well. That would be another loop to do and shoot those out. So if we can execute that, uh, let's say we're scoring 15 to 20 in auto, even just doing our center auto and then going to the depot, we were getting 15 to 20 in there, especially if we're actually shooting better and emptying ourselves out better and not jamming. If we can score another 10 in transition, which is tough for us because we need to do that quick collection cycle and then shoot them, but we get another 10 there, and then we should be able to do 50 per scoring cycle, 3 scoring cycles of 50. If we are able to do these things, that is 180 in a match, and that is elite level performance, and that's based on last year. Now we know that in off-season competition, people don't score as well, so 180 in off season would be much better than 180 in regular season last year. But you look at the teams that are scoring in that range. If we could be in this group here, that is really, really good. Uh, so that's kind of what we would be shooting for, uh, with making a couple simple changes there. Should be pretty doable. So that is what I am suggesting. I'm looking for input from others and looking at when we could get this done. All right, thanks.